Hi Mimi, thank you for purchasing your reading from me, and thank you for your email with the kind words you had for me, and just thanks for checking out my stuff, and I am glad that you like it and that it's that you find it profound, as you said. It's quite a compliment, so thank you. Um, so I'm here today to do your Celtic Cross reading. Happy birthday as well. 66, very exciting. Happy birthday. I hope it was a good day for you, and I hope that our reading today is going to be helpful for you and give you some good food for thought, and yeah, all that good stuff. So today, I actually, for some reason, I am being called today to use the Golden Tarot by Cat Black for you, and I hope that's okay. So I'm going to be using this deck today. This is an old medieval-inspired deck. Big fan of that period in history. Anywho, I will also make this video unlisted so that only people who have the direct link to the video, meaning you or myself, can access this video. So if you don't share this link with anyone, obviously I will not. If you don't share the link with anyone, then it will remain private. Okay. Okay, so because you are a Leo, we are going to use for you and your significator the Queen of Wands, which is possibly my favorite court card. Aha. So we're going to use her for your significator, and then go ahead and shuffle and see what we pull up here. All right, here we go. So your overall situation is represented as the Knight of Coins, or Discs, or Pentacles, whichever you prefer. In this deck, we're going to be using coins. Crossing you, your obstacle, or the thing that you're coming up against, is the Eight of Cups. Crowning you is the Page of Cups. And grounding you is the Knight of Cups. In your past, you have the Three of Cups, a lot of cups, and in your future, you have the Wheel of Fortune, which is very good. And then your perspective is the Page of Coins. Environment is the King of Cups. Hopes and fears, Four of Wands. And your overall outcome is the Emperor. Try to fit this in as much of the screen as I can. And your bottom card is, as I'm sure you have seen from my other videos, I do read the bottom card and try to add it into my interpretation. And I also read a little bit further below the bottom card too for extra information. And your bottom card, your overall sort of theme of this reading is the Seven of Coins. And I think that is appropriate considering that we did ask about your career specifically. And the Seven of Coins gives us a sense that your career is something that is, the development of it is ongoing, and the process of it is sort of, I kind of want to say a trial and error type of thing, but it's something that you've worked very hard at. You've put a lot of work into it, and you have really tried hard to cultivate your career, but it isn't necessarily one that inspires you. You know, the Seven of Coins is definitely a card that represents hard work and, you know, sometimes failure, but I think most of all it represents the mundane aspect of work, and really the part of us that just needs to work in order to live and in order to survive. And it isn't particularly inspiring, but it's necessary, you know. And I see that reflected also in your overall situation with the Knight of Coins as well. You've had a very practical approach to your career out of necessity, and I get that a lot from this reading already. That, you know, and from what you said as well in your email, that your career has been shaped largely by necessity and material need, and that I think what you really want, you have so much water in this reading, and your crown card is the Page of Cups, and you as a reader, you know that the Page of Cups is all about artistic pursuits, and I think that that is pretty significant here, considering what you told me in your email about your artistic endeavors. So, but before I go further into that, I do want to sort of break this down. Your obstacle card again is the Eight of Cups, and I think that that does go hand in hand with what I was just saying about the fact that your career is not as exciting as you may like. You suffer from boredom with your career. It's just, I think it started to feel like the same thing over and over again, and I think you're starting to feel like you just need some sort of change. You need something to excite you, and something that is more creative and more fluid. I think possibly some of the large quantity of water here is connected to the idea of the Page of Cups, and the Page of Cups is creativity and sincerity in his work. But I also think that that water is so different from Earth, not in the fact that they're both passive, obviously, but in the fact that water is much more fluid under good circumstances, whereas Earth is almost always some kind of stagnant. Not so much in the higher up cards, but anywho, I'm going to ignore that phone call, and we're going to keep going here. So you are bored by the lack of vision sometimes that your job has, and the fact that your job is just practical. You see yourself, however, as being in a development process. I think you see yourself as the Page of Coins, and so you still see yourself as having things to learn and things to change about your career. I think you still see your career as having options. You see yourself as more of a young person, certainly not the age, a middle-aged type of perspective of someone who sees their career as nearing an end, obviously, with looking towards retirement. I think you see yourself as still having things that you want to do very much with the Page of Coins. And I think that this is a really good perspective to have as you go further into your 60s. I think that this is really good for you to remain open to possibilities within yourself, and to continue to remain open to growing possibilities within yourself. I think that that's really healthy, and is something that's going to be beneficial for you, since I think you want some kind of change. Now, I don't want to say, I don't mean too much change, because I don't think that what you want is a radical shift away from what you've been doing, but I do think that you would like, you have the Four of Wands in your hopes and fears, and I think what you are hoping for, as as we've been talking about, with your artistic career and the charity aspects of that, I think that you wish that that were a little more grounded and a little more finished. It doesn't. I think you feel like a lot of things in terms of that are not quite finished, and that you should be investing your energy into stabilizing them more and making those goals and plans that you have related to that artistic career. I think you wish. I think you want to make those more manifest, complete. The Four of Wands is the Lord of completion. In the past, we haven't talked about this. In the past, you have the Three of Cups, and in the grounding portion of your reading, you have the Knight of Cups. And actually, you have the the King of Cups in your environment. All three of those are pretty strongly connected. In some ways, they connect back to the Page of Cups. I'm not quite sure how yet. But the basis of your situation is the Knight of Cups. Uh, you do have two knights, which is interesting too, and a lot of, well, I think that I don't want to say that the Knight of Cups really represents a specific person, though it certainly can. I think the King of Cups is more indicative of a person who is not necessarily you. Um, and I do get the sense that the King of Cups is related to the Three of Cups. It's possible that this is representing some of what you were telling me as far as your professor in college um, being someone who motivated or directed you into the field of psychology. Um, and given that, it's funny too that the King of Cups, if we were to see it as you, as an extension of you, as a reflection of you in the eyes of other people, that isn't a poor choice to represent you as as a psychologist or as a counselor, as a mediator. The King of Cups is. Particularly in this deck, I find that the King of Cups is representative of a mediator, of a counselor, someone who is able to listen to people's emotions fairly and empathize with them and try to provide some sort of advice for them, so that they can have better clarity. And I see you as almost being sent forth on this mission with the Knight of Cups. I think that you, in general, are pursuing in life high ideals of empathy. I think empathy and connectivity with people is very important to you, and I think that it is something that fuels your creativity. I think that and this is a very Leo thing to do, and a very Leo perspective to have, that your talents and your unique power should be used for the benefit of others. I see that as pretty predominant in your reading, and maybe that's where you see there being more for you to do and more for you to explore. Perhaps that is part of what you see as being left open for you at this time in your life, that and more of what you need to bring into realization. Maybe there are more ways that you feel that you can help people through your work and through your charity work, through your art, and it's just a matter of making that actually happen for yourself. Um, let's see. Yeah, for whatever reason, you feel that the type of work that you are doing, helping people psychologically, um, has grown stagnant for you. And again, I'm not quite sure how that is, because I really do sense that helping people um, does motivate you and does inspire you and um, it does fuel your work. And so I think it's important for you, and I think you know this. I gather that you know this from a practical level. So, some people contact me and ask for readings, and they late in life want to do career shifts, but sometimes they're just totally not logical. Sometimes at certain stages of life we really have to be realistic about how we explore our passions in different paths. It doesn't necessarily always mean that we have to throw away the path that we've been building for ourselves throughout life. And I think that you have, based on this and what you've told me, I think you have a good sense of that already. I think you know that you can't just throw away your hospital work and your therapy work or your psychological psychologist work. I think you know that you can't just put that aside entirely and focus only on the artistic stuff. I almost see it as, we need to find a way for you to intersect your experiences with one field with your experiences in the other field more closely. I think because at the end of the day, both fields are helpful for people, and in both fields you are making connections with people in some way. And again, that's so important for you as a Leo. You're going to draw energy and sustenance, in a way, spiritual sustenance, from working with and for other people. And the Page of Cups also represents that too. We shouldn't forget that the Page of Cups is known in some interpretations as the helper court card. The Page of Cups is someone who likes to help people and likes to remain humble and likes to serve other people and empathize with them. And they derive a lot of simple joy, a lot of pure happiness from that kind of innocent desire to help people, which is a really beautiful thing. And it says that is the best thing for you to do here, that no matter what you're doing, as long as you are able to look at it and say, I'm helping people, and I'm producing good through my actions. I think that if you can see it that way, then perhaps you can start to see your job as a little less mundane and a little less boring. And perhaps, I don't know, maybe there is some kind of spirit that you can that is connected to your artistic work that you can tap into, yourself in your regular work. Perhaps there is some perspective, and by spirit I don't mean literal ghost or anything. I just mean a perspective or a way that you go about your artistic work that you can perhaps draw on more so in your regular work, because I see them as fairly related. I don't see them as necessarily mutually exclusive. Now, you do have, just to mention it, you do have a lack of air in your reading. You have only one air card, and it is in the Wheel of Fortune, which is in the immediate future. So things are going to start changing for you. Things are going to start making a positive turn. Some people interpret the Wheel of Fortune as, a change of luck entirely, but personally, I always interpret the Wheel of Fortune as a turn of good luck. It was written once that, I think by Aleister Crowley, that if the querent receives the Wheel of Fortune, you can assume that it's good luck, because you can assume that they're coming to you for a reading in the first place, because for some reason their fortune hasn't been good. And that's why they need advice in the first place. And that part of that is what I subscribe to, but I also think just that the Wheel of Fortune, being Jupiter, is too beneficent a card, and as you can tell, I don't read with reversals. So I do think that things are going to continue to shift in a way that is going to allow you to achieve your goals. And I think things are just going to start to fall, something's going to fall into place for you soon. And I think that not only is this going to sort of revitalize you to an extent, because I think it's just going to be different for you. It's going to bring some fresh, new energy into your life. But it's going to be very positive for you. And I just, it may happen in a way that you don't quite expect, but something, maybe it's even something that you've been thinking about for a while, a decision you've that's been on your mind or something, but it's going to work out in a positive way for you. You don't have any other Jupiter in this reading, so I can't really specifically connect it to anything else. Unfortunately, there's nothing really that it's connected to, and so I would say that it may be a turn of events that does not necessarily seem obviously connected to this specific situation. It may be a turn of events that happens in another sector of your life. Sometimes that's the case when a card is isolated elementally like that. I've seen it be like that. But I do think it's still going to have some important ramifications for you, and certainly not bad ramifications. So and the other thing too is that you could see it as just to sort of reinforce the point that it's going to sort of re-inspire you to some extent in terms of its mobility. Is that Jupiter is very different from Saturn, which is what you are plagued by. You have very heavy ideas in your central part of your reading. You have the Knight of Coins and the Eight of Cups, which is that is about as boring as it gets in life. It really is. And as a Leo, that does not work for you. And as a Leo moon, personally, I can relate. It's just I think you just feel so heavy with responsibility and with things that don't move you. It feels so ugh. But the Wheel of Fortune, on the other hand, is so. The Wheel of Fortune has an energy of generosity to it that matches the energy of generosity that you yourself possess, and I almost see the Wheel of Fortune as being a moment in which the universe aligns with you, or rather, you align with the universe better, and things start to turn around. I get a good vibe from the Wheel of Fortune, and the overall outcome that this eventually turns into is the Emperor, and so this situation is one that will evolve in a way that empowers you and allows you to continue to grow, and I think get better control over manifesting the goals that you have for your artistic endeavors, because the Emperor does show you as ending up in a position of authority and being in charge of this situation. And so either you're going to take more charge of, and more leadership and more initiative in some way regarding your artistic stuff. But I think it definitely resonates with the Four of Wands, which is what you want, and so it resonates very strongly with the Four of Wands too. Not only are they both fire, they're both Aries, and they are both the number 4. So there's a good, solid sense of manifestation of your goals in the overall outcome, and I do think that the universe is going to try to help you through the Wheel of Fortune to accomplish that and achieve that. Because of course the universe, as I like to think, the universe likes to help people, and the universe likes when other people try to help people. I don't think the universe is ever really out to get us unless we really need to be, unless we really need it, unless we really need the kick in the pants. The universe generally likes being good to us. Sometimes it shows it in a weird way. So I think that you being an agent of help for other people and really being genuine about it is a really special thing, and is something that is going to sort of, I don't want to say jar the universe into action, but is going to just bring good juju into your life, bring good karma into your life, honestly. It's just you can only reap goodness from being good to other people. You can only reap good things from that. The cliche "you get what you give" is so true. It's so accurate, and it's so necessary to keep in mind, especially for you as someone who works so closely with people and works so closely to help people. So I do think that the universe, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be more than willing to steer you in the right direction kind of naturally. So I don't think you have to worry too much about what the next step is for you just yet. I think a lot of it is going to come naturally to you, especially as you continue to explore your role and really I believe kind of your life purpose, to help people, and how to practically do that, and also do it in a way that makes you happy and makes you feel content. because it's perfectly okay to try to make more practical one's life purpose, especially if one's life purpose is sort of abstract, and creative, as yours is. Being a creative person, it's sometimes hard, and I know this from experience too. It can be very hard sometimes to figure out how to make your abstract creativity logical and practical for you in the real world. And sometimes it almost feels like you shouldn't do it because you feel like I don't know, sometimes, I mean, personally, sometimes I feel like my purpose is a gift, and it's something that should be treated with respect, and therefore it shouldn't be made mundane in some way, and I shouldn't like make money off of it. Sometimes, how I feel sometimes with tarot, I think a lot of readers sometimes get that feeling of, should I really charge people for this? And I think it's a similar kind of idea for you on some level, because yeah, I think we all have to understand that it's okay to benefit from the good things that we do from others, as long as we do those things for others with a sense of grace and humility, and as long as we understand that we are agents of a higher beneficence, and that is working through us, and that really, the good that we derive from it does not come from ourselves and comes from something greater than ourselves. I think that's also important. And being a Leo, I think that you have a concept of that, and being a spiritual person, working with the tarot, does change people. And so I know that you are most likely a more spiritually inclined person than the average individual. Which is so good for the work that you're doing. It's so important for the work that you're doing. So I think that this is a really good reading, and I don't see any negativity in this reading at all, Mimi. I think that this is a really good reading, and I get really good energy from you, honestly. I just get a really good vibe from you and from your situation, and I do think that this is going to work out in a way that is going to be good for you. And just, keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing good stuff, even if you're not entirely happy with it, you're still doing good stuff, so keep the faith, as they say, and just keep going with it. I think it's so cool what you're doing, and I'm impressed by it. So I hope that this makes sense, and I hope that it was helpful. I think that's about it. So let me know what you think. I would appreciate any feedback you may have. And thank you so much for purchasing a reading through me. And I appreciate your watching my videos and all that stuff. And I'm glad that those have been helpful for you. So thank you so much again, and I wish you the best of luck. And take care. Bye-bye, Mimi.